Hello and welcome to this video tutorial for Trackit 11.4. First of all, it's recorded in 11.4.1.558, which is also known as 11.4 Service Pack 1 Release 1. You can access this information obviously in the session information, and if you look at the technician clients and the database versions, they should marry and align. If they didn't, it probably wouldn't start up. So that's obviously accessible within the product by going to help and session info. If you can't get into the products, but you do have access to the Trackit server, another quick way to tell the version is to go into your BMC folder and Trackit server. You go to the installers and then the technician client. You will see here as well, it should have a version. If you have upgraded from previous versions, you may get a list here, but obviously the latest version will be apparent. So just a quick tip there. So this video tutorial today is to show you how to set up multiple mailboxes or email addresses for your tickets to come into Trackit. Typically this might be if you have got a couple of different business functions or processes even that you want emails to go to and then create them as a work order. That is possible. The tip is really, I suppose, just to summarize it now without going into the detail, it's to have your default email address, which would be IT support or service desk or help desk at company.com, and then any other email address that you set up, so facilities or estates or IT requests or whatever that will be set up as a mailbox, and then you would forward it to that central mailbox. You do not create an alias on that mailbox, but you create a forward. So that's the summary. So I'm going to go through a demonstration to show you how to set that up, and also I just want to sort of like point out some of the caveats and mistakes that can possibly be made during this process. So first of all, I'm going to go into my Exchange Administration Center, and just to show you a couple of the accounts that I've created. So first of all, bring it on screen now. We've got our support email address. So obviously this is your central place. Most of the IT have probably got this already set up for your incoming emails to come into and then convert them into work orders. So I've got my support address there. If I go into the email address, we can set up aliases here as well. So if I've got something coming in from facilities, that would also come into test support. Just want to really point out now, this is not the way to set up Trackit if you want emails to come into facilities and then you want work orders that are facilities related. So just wanted to point out that is not the way to set it up. But nevertheless, this is my support account, so this is my central box where tickets come in. Now I've created a human resources mailbox for this particular example, and as you can see, this is its own mailbox, testhr@truenorthsm.com, and this is where the tickets will be going into HR, and then they will hopefully get converted as work orders. So the difference here is I've only got the one address set up there, which is absolutely fine, but if we go into the mailbox features, I'm going to go into the mail flow here. If I look at the details, you'll see that I've enabled forwarding on that particular mailbox, and I've told it to go to my support mailbox. I can obviously put a copy in both, but I've got that switched off here. So that's the groundwork outside of Trackit. So let's look at how we now configure this in Trackit. So first of all, we go into the Administration Center. This can be accessed by Tools Admin Console or F9. Of course, you have to be an administrator in your profile to access this space. Now, a couple of little things I've done for this example. First of all, in my help desk, excuse me, if I go into my administration and then my technicians, you will see that I've got some dummy accounts which set up. So these are technicians, but in Trackit 11.4 we haven't got the concept of groups or, as I say, just teams just to separate. So what we've done in 11.4 is we've always kind of set up dummy technicians to cater for that, and we usually start that off with a asterisk team name or group name. In Trackit 2020 onwards, you have got the concept of technicians and groups, so you won't have to worry about that in the later versions. But for this demonstration, I've got 3 teams set up: IT, HR, and facilities. Okay, the next thing we want to look at is if I go into help desk and email monitor addresses. I've set up here some monitor addresses. So I've got a IT support, which is tied to the support address for IT. I've got one for facilities. I've got one for HR. The focus for this today is IT support and HR, of course. And to add those, it's quite simple. You click on add, put in the mail address, and then a display name. Right, now if I go back up into my configuration, you should have obviously got your incoming and outgoing mail set up already. So we can see I've got IT set up here, my test support account. I've got the outgoing set up here as well. But the next part for this is to go into help desk within the configuration. Go to email configuration. And then we've got a couple of areas there. We've got the work order updates. So this is obviously where we can add some additional information if we want to allow auto responses, incoming emails, have links to append to. All of that can be set up in here. But the focus for this particular demonstration is in email policies. So we have the default policy that's always created, which is just a blanket email policy. And then I've got some email policies set up. So let's go to the IT support first of all. Now you'll see here my IT support email policy looks at the email monitor address of IT support. So you can see there's the 3 that we've set up. And if something comes into IT support, it's going to send an auto response back, and it's going to assign it to the IT group. Of course, we can do things like apply work order templates. So if you want things pre-populated, we can add that on. But just for this, I'm just going to keep it simple. Email comes into IT support. Let's create the work order and set the technician assigned to IT support. The email monitor address for email will be sent from that mailbox as well. Then we've got HR. And again, from this one, if a ticket comes into Trackit as HR, then it's going to assign it the HR group, send an auto response. It's not using the HR mail address for this, that's been switched off here, but obviously that can be enabled as well. So just to sort of recap, an email comes into HR, that will get forwarded to IT. IT mailbox will be read, create the work order, and assign accordingly. So that's the configuration setup for there. As I said, you can put more meat on the bones if you want to assign templates to it, etc., etc. But this is the configuration there. Right, if I look into my mailboxes now, you can see I've got a few mail accounts set up. Here's my end user, here's my technician, here's the IT support. I've also got my HR account set up as well. So we'll just set up 3 examples just so I can show you how this will work. So first of all, let me write an email, and it's coming from the end user. And first of all, let me send this to facilities. If you remember, this is an alias of IT as opposed to its own mailbox. So there's one going into facilities. Click on save. And then that gets sent. You can see that has come into the support box because it was an alias. We'll do the next one. Test support. So this is the IT accounts. So there's the IT request. Click on send. And we can see that's going to the IT account there. And then finally, we have HR. A HR request. Excuse me. Oop, jumped out there for some reason. Let me load that back up. Once again, this is the end user sending to HR. It's a HR request. We'll send that. We will see at this point it doesn't go into the HR mailbox because we didn't get it to send a copy. So it just automatically forwards it to the IT account. And we'll just wait for that one to get read. In the meantime, our end user has received a couple of emails. So we can see here it's received one for its work order 50, work order 51, and now work order 52. So if we look at the inbox for these, we can see the subject there for facilities. That went to the facilities mailbox, or email address I should say. This one went to IT, and this one of course went to HR, as we can see here with the correspondence. Let's just jump into Track It now. And I have a view set up here for open work orders for IT and HR. So I'm going to do a refresh, and hopefully we should see 3 work orders generated. Okay, so we will see first of all work order 50, which was the facilities. You can see it has assigned that to the IT group and not facilities. Now the reason for that is, as I said, when the IT support email account was created with its support address, we created an alias for facilities, and for that reason mailbox is not recognizing that when we configure it in Track It. Secondly, obviously the IT request is set up as expected and it's assigned it to the IT group as expected. And then finally, the HR mailbox, which we set up with a forward onto the IT mailbox, has read that into Track It. The configuration has recognized it's come from the HR, and for that reason it has assigned it to the HR group. So this is how we set up the multiple mailboxes in Track It. Once again, just to reiterate, do not set them up with aliases on that central mailbox, but instead set up separate mailboxes for those addresses and then have them forward to that central account. I hope that has been useful for you, and thank you for watching.